Hey family, welcome to Keep It Raw. My name is Ravel, and welcome to my channel. For you all that's coming back for the first time, I pray that you get blessed and you get something that enhance your life. And I want to dive into some things today that's not rehearsed. I don't have no script today. I just wanted to dive in and talk about the relationship market, relationship things that you may be dealing with that need to be addressed. And so I hope that you get something from this because I'm coming real plain with you today. The relationship market is in big trouble. And we living in a time where you have a lot of things going wrong and everybody is super sensitive and pointing out what everybody else is doing wrong. And I'm going to continue to point this out because the general thoughts is they, them, and those people did it. And that's the way it was from the very beginning. When man failed God, they began to blame each other, blame and find out that person did this, that person did that. But what God did, he addressed each person individually. He addressed Adam, he addressed Eve for what she did, he addressed Adam for what he did, he addressed the devil for what he did. And that's just the way it is. So I'm not one of those that point out they did this. My issue is going to always point to you, the person in the mirror. You're going to have to face you as well as I'm going to have to face me. So all this scapegoating and blaming each other, being super sensitive when anybody critique us and yet we critiquing other people, this foolishness is going to have to stop. The relationship market is on the verge of collapse. And I say that over and over, and I know some people may wonder what you mean on the verge of collapse. Because we're living in an hour where the Lord is soon to come. And we're going to have to draw back to what really matters. A lot of this relationship channel stuff, I never got on YouTube to be a part of an establishment that's promote that which is already out here. And so what I mean by that is a lot of the information is regurgitated information. It's not going to help you unless you begin to take onus of your own behavior. That's the bottom line. And so, yeah, the men are messed up, the women are messed up. And so we pointing fingers at everybody except the person in the mirror. And so we're going to have to begin to look at ourselves and begin to do the work. And that work going to start with us looking at our spiritual life and seeing where we are with God. Because without the Lord, he said you can do nothing. And so what we're trying to do is create a life or relationship or a certain type of life on earth that's never was intended without God. Relationships was created by God for his purpose and his benefit, not our own, just creating our own world. And so that's why I say the relationship market is like a junkyard, and the relationship market is on the verge of collapse because what we have is we look back in Sodom and Gomorrah, and two angels came to visit Lot, and the wickedness was great. And the men of the city saw the two angels, and they came trying to beat his door down. We want those men out of there. And Lot said, please don't do this such wickedness here. He said, I even give you my virgin daughters. They said, no, we want the men. They wanted men. This was way back in the beginning of time. And so when Jesus came, he said, at the time his coming, it'd be just like the days of Noah. He said it'd be just like the days of Lot, where man's thoughts were evil continually. And so back then, they wanted men. It's been mentioned about women wanting women at the time, but those men wanted to tear down Lot's door to get those men. They didn't know they was angels. The angels reached outside the door and blinded them. And they went scrambling around trying to figure out where they was at. And so this was back then. And the Lord told Abraham he was going to destroy that city because the wickedness was there. And Abraham complained to God and said, God, would you destroy the righteous with the wicked? And so God said, if you can find 10 righteous in the city, I will spare it. Abraham couldn't find 10. If you can find 9 righteous in the city, I will spare it. He couldn't find 9. And so forth, the story went on that way, where God ended up destroying Sodom and Gomorrah. And so we're living in this hour again, where every thought is evil continually. And people We have men wanting men, and that's going to increase. We have women wanting women, and that's going to increase. And that's what's going to destroy the market. The time is going to come where the Lord said there will be 7 women clinging to one man. Hear that? 7 women will be clinging to one man. One man. That's already been foretold. That was foretold hundreds of years ago. And so that's what we're coming into. So when I say the market is on the verge of collapse, all of this foolishness, women, I don't want this type of man, men, I don't want this type of woman. We're at a time where if you're going to get into a relationship, marriage, you need to do it. Whatever you do, do quickly and do it wisely as the Lord leads you. And the relationship God is concerned about is not just your personal relationship, but every relationship. What people don't know is a small replica of the relationship you're supposed to have with God. And so having a relationship without God is a waste of time. You're not going to go anywhere. You're going to create what your version of happiness is, and you're going to feel unfulfilled. And a lot of you feeling that, aren't you? You feeling like, oh, I got this material things, I got that, but I still feel empty because you don't have God. We have to turn back. And this is not finger pointing. This is not to debate. This is dealing with reality, God reality, plain truth. And so that thought lingers with me in my spirit and my mind, that people have to be taught that relationships start with the relationship with God. And so God wants us to turn back to that. So I will be pivoting to get back to some of the things, not just relationship, but religion, reality, and what God expects. So make sure you join me. And so, again, we're going to have to begin to look at ourselves, because a lot of this foolishness out here is just that, foolishness. And so the market is going to get worse. It's not going to get better. And for you looking for the right person, you have to start with being the right person. I don't have all the answers, but I do have some. And as God helped me, I will have more. But I want to talk directly to you. Some of these people want to coach, and they want to coach what to do with them. No, I want to talk to you about what to do with you. It starts with you. The energy that you put out there is the energy you're getting back. Because the common denominator in all your past relationships, guess what? It's you. And so if you're the type that want to be super sensitive in this hour, you're just not going to make it on no level. And so what we're dealing with is a selfish hour. And the Lord warned us about it, that people will be truth breakers, lovers of themselves, and not loving God, the power of God. And they're going to reject the power of God, reject truth. So people don't want to hear truth about themselves. They want to hear truth about everybody else. Karma. Everybody talking about karma. Yeah, that's karma got him. Do you ever think how karma got you? I don't believe in karma, because if there was karma, we all would probably be dead. If that was karma without the mercy and grace of God, we all would be dead. But we acknowledge karma when it's somebody else is going through something. That's their karma. Yeah, karma got them. But what about you? You realize the hate on your brother is you worthy of death. And how many times we have said something that we shouldn't have said, or judged somebody we shouldn't have judged. And it said, judge not that you be not judged. So if karma was what it is, what most people think it is, you would be dead and I would probably be dead. But except the grace of God and the mercy of God, we're still here. So stop focusing on other people. Let's start focusing on ourselves. The relationship market is very important to God, because you can get with the wrong person that'll cost you your whole soul. It'll cost you your whole life, not this life, but the one to come. So you have to be careful with picking who you're going to be with. And some people just never been taught. So I want to get into that, teaching what God think about relationships. Not all this foolishness that's flooding the market, that's regurgitated and rewrapped and represented to people as though it's new information. It's not new information. And so the only new information is the things that God have in his word that he wants people to know that have not been taught yet. And some people don't realize that there's a certain order that God has. And even in dating, everything should be done decently in order. Like some people just date and get in agree to relationships without doing the proper vetting. But that means get yourself together. Some people talking about, well, I'm not lowering my standards, or my expectations is this. Your expectations need to be on yourself. Because if you together, you're going to draw like-minded people. So you don't have to sit back and sort through all of this other stuff that other people are dealing with. If you get yourself together and get off your high horse, some like the ladies about first dates and so forth. Some women saying, no, I'm not going with no man that take me to this type of restaurant. Guess what? You deserve to be all by yourself. And the men that's saying, I'm not dealing with no lady that don't have her hair all together. Guess what? You need to be all by yourself. We all human beings, and people are not perfect out here. And if so, then you are totally approved by God. He's going to give you the desire of your heart anyway. But you got messed up people talking about messed up people. And this is not going to work. We have to get ourselves together, get in line with God. And he said, if you delight yourself in him, he'll give you the desires of your heart. So you that want the God man for you, you that want the God woman for you, you're going to have to go God's way. A lot of times the package that God sends you is not going to be the way you want. And then as you yield, it turns out to be something wonderful and great. And that's what happened with Christ. When Christ came, he did not come as a king on a high hill. If he had a big palace and had thousands of servants and a beautiful landscape, and he looked wealthy, just draped in gold and so forth, people say, oh yes, he's definitely the Son of God. Look at all of this beauty and all this wealth. But he was born a king in an ox stall, and he didn't have nowhere to lay his head. And people saying, no, this is not him. And for you all that's constantly thinking of material things that determine the value of a man or woman, you deserve to be just by yourself. You are so far off, it's just almost ridiculous to even begin to discuss it. Oh, man, a real man is like this. Well, God picked some real men, and I never heard him discuss anything about finances. So all of these social constructs is separating people. You got all these agendas. You got the agendas of men hating women, putting out stuff. You got women that's hating men, putting out stuff. And some of you just drinking it all up. Yeah, girl, I'm not listening to them men. Well, you listening to women that probably want women and telling you to leave those men alone. And you saying, yep, because somebody did me wrong, I'm going to leave those men alone. And now what you have? We're going to have to get this together. And I'm going to go the same way with the men. We have men that's deciding, hey, I don't have to be subjected to anybody. I'm going to do everything I want to do. I'm going to deal with any woman I want to deal with. I don't have to commit to nobody. I don't want to answer to anybody. And I'm my own God. And we have been there. Men have done a lot of dirty stuff to women, have scarred women, done said things that have damaged them. And these women are going out in the world dealing with new men that they damage and other men damage them back. And so we're going to have to begin to stop. Men, this is to you. We're going to have to begin to stop and look at ourselves. Your value is beyond just the finances you have. It's beyond just the things you have. Your value is how much God do you have to give to the lady, how much God you have to give to your kids, how much God you have. Because the worst thing in the world, now hear this, the worst thing in the world, whether people know this or not, is a dead billionaire. The worst thing in the world is a dead billionaire. You die with billions of dollars in your bank account and people out here start. How do you answer God with that? What are you going to begin to say? I had all this and I didn't care about all the people that was out here. And some people just so full of themselves and they think that's what life is about. That's not what life is about. The relationship, the purpose of the relationship is this. It's a man and a woman that's yielded to God individually, the two become one in him. And they go forth to do his will, to do what he had planned for them. And then they pass that on to their kids. They pass that on to the world. And then they, in pleasing God, all that God provide for them and give to them become the life. And some of you you always talking about money. Guess what's going to happen to your money? I already know because I know what the word says. It's going to all be taken in one day. Trillion is going to be lost in a day. Because when Antichrist is setting up his kingdom, he's going to take over all the financial markets and all your money is going to be taken in a day. Then what? Only thing that matters is what we do for God. And so I'm saying that starting with me first, we have to begin to turn back to God. And the relationship market is just a replica of the foolishness that's out here. And it's going to get worse. It's not going to get better. And so what do? You reach out to God You ask God to lead you into the person, but you get yourself together first. And then when you meet somebody that's the right person for you, and how do you determine if they're the right person? You talk to God and ask him, is this the right person? And you put out fleets, you make sure. And if he do say it is the right person, then you go forth. If it's not the right person, I don't care how they look, what they have, they're just not the right person. You got to be willing to accept that. And so, yeah, we're living in this hour where the market is going to crash because, again, he said the time is going to come where you're going to have 7 women clinging to one man saying, please marry me. That's what the Bible says. And so, and those women is going to realize that the market is not catering to you. And some of you out there now, you're doing well, you got a lot of things going for yourself, but you can't get a man, you can't keep a man because you're overlooking the right man for you. Because you're saying he's supposed to have this, he's supposed to have that, and that have nothing to do with, and God can't even bring you the right man because you're not the right person. And so that's the same way with Michelle Obama. When she met Barack, he had a 1-bedroom shack and a hole in the floor of his car. She didn't know he was going to become one of the most powerful men on the planet. She didn't know that. And so she had to go forth by faith. And so some of you are trying to say, I want it all up front. I don't want to put this work in. And I get it because you're tired of up and down, in and out, tired of dealing with kissing frogs and dealing with clowns. I get it. But the thing to do is to settle down, tune into God, pray, get yourself together. Internally, not externally. That's fine, but internally. Because some people look beautiful outside and they're terrible on the inside. And that's for men and women. So it's not, if you can spend 3-4 hours at the gym, you can't spend 20 minutes in prayer. You can't spend 10 minutes in prayer. You can't spend 10 minutes with all the time you spend in getting for you. You can't spend 10 minutes giving to somebody else. We're going to have to begin to get this stuff back on track and get it all together. And so this is not to judge you. This is just some thoughts that's been at the top of my mind. And I just wanted to talk plain. There was no script with this. There was no plan of discussion. And there's a lot of other things in this that can come out. So let me hear your views and comments. But we're going to have to begin to look at ourselves. None of us is complete, and we only can be complete in God, complete in Christ. So we're going to have to begin to pray. We're going to have to begin to humble ourselves, get off that high horse and thinking we all of this and nobody is good enough for me. And when you have that mindset, you deserve to be just by yourself. And some of you just not getting it. And you thinking, I deserve this, I deserve that. You deserve what? What do you deserve? Please tell me, what do you deserve? And I don't know who told you all of that, what you deserve. But we deserve everything that God provides for us. And when you don't look God's way, guess what? The devil comes in that wrong, Mrs. Wrong. And when you don't look God's way for you women, he's saying you Mr. Wrong. So a lot of people have been dealing with Mr. Wrong and Mrs. Wrong and wondering what's wrong. What's wrong is you first wrong, and you dealing and you looking through the lenses for Mrs. Wrong or Mr. Wrong. You can't be wrong and then judge another person for wrong. And that's the way humanity is. So the only way to combat this is to begin to get right. So I'm going to encourage you to pray. I'm going to encourage you to get in that gym. I'm going to encourage you to eat better. I'm seeking to do the same thing. I'm seeking to get in that gym more. I'm seeking to pray more. I'm seeking to humble myself more, to draw closer to God, and to clear my mind of all in the past. Throw out the stuff in the past. Throw out the old, come into the new. Throw out the old, come into the new. So stop all this foolishness out here looking any type of way. And because you can't get a man, you bashing man. Because you can't get a woman, you bashing all women. There's some great people out there, even though they're not perfect. There are great people out there, and God has somebody out there for you. So keep that in mind. So God bless you. Remember to keep it real. Remember to keep it raw.